Welcome into the Action Network podcast. We are on the audio side, of course, wherever you get your podcasts. We are doing our show live on YouTube. So thanks for joining us on our Action Network YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you have not done so already. Brendan Glasheen with Brandon Anderson, as well as our Director of Research and Media at the Action Network, Evan Abrams, recapping all things Week 7. I admit I was a few minutes late jumping on because I wanted to actually hear if Russell Wilson would use that catchphrase in his post-game interview, but he decided he's going to push it off to the side. So some growth by Russell Wilson. The Pittsburgh Steelers just defeated the New York Jets 38-15, 31 unanswered points. I think it was 31 or 30.
Correct. 31.
31 on the nose. Okay, 31 unanswered by Pittsburgh to defeat the Jets, 38-15. So Pittsburgh covers as a short underdog. Total goes well over 40.5. That number crept up a bit as that game kicked off. So we'll recap all the games. Brandon Anderson's hot read coming up as well. Hot reads. We'll do a quick Monday Night Football preview as well with the two games going on tomorrow night. Two more on Monday night. So I'll send it to Evan Abrams for Jets and Steelers. Your knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, 15-6 turned to 36-15. Honestly, and the blocked extra point, which Pittsburgh seems to do incredibly well since like the Dick LeBeau days, should have been 13-6 instead of 15-6. So that was a swing in itself. My note would be this. So Pittsburgh in the second half shut out the Jets. Last week, they only allowed 6 to Vegas. The week before that, they did allow 14 to Dallas, but 10 to Indy, 0 to the Chargers, 6 to Denver, 0 to Atlanta. Second half, Pittsburgh has just been shutting down most teams. Now, you've got a second half over in 4 straight for the Steelers, but that's because they've just been scoring points. But their defense has been absolutely incredible, and you kind of had a feeling they were going to jumble the Jets a little bit in this one, but the play I look back on, when you look at the entire game and how maybe it could have gone one direction for the other, Aaron Rodgers cannot throw that interception. Like a minute or two left in the half, up 15-6. You allow Pittsburgh to get the momentum going into the break, to get at minimum a field goal, which actually ended up turning into a touchdown. To me, it's just completely unacceptable. I don't know what the play call was, et cetera, but that kind of led them to where it went. And then obviously the Garrett Wilson pop-up drop that turned into a pick. It just gets so frustrating overall. But between secondary injuries, O-line injuries, it was just a mess in this one. The one thing I will say with Russ, Steelers yards per play, first 6 games, 4.1, 4.3, nothing 6 or above. Today was 6.2. So against the Jet defense banged up, but they were moving the ball like they weren't with Justin Fields. Something I will admit I didn't think I'd say because I was anti-Russ heading into this one. Like a lot of other people, I didn't know why they made the change, but they looked really two-dimensional today. And if Mike Tomlin teams are going to score 30 points, they're really never going to lose. Because that is just a recipe for disaster for other teams. They scored 13 points in the first half, most they had this season. And then you look at the end of the game. I'll give you just a few tie-ups here. Jets are scoring 15 points per game in their 4-game losing streak now. They're not going to win that way. New York teams now 4-32 straight up in night games since 2019. Even with that Jets-Patriots win earlier this season, 4-32 seems impossible. But that's probably what I've seen out of this one. It's just unlucky from New York's point of view, especially because this would have been an important win going into New England game. And then Pittsburgh, listen, you get the Giants on Monday Night Football, another New York team coming up this weekend. So we get to run it back again.
So that New York stat includes Buffalo.
No. Just Jets and Giants.
Jets and Giants. Okay.
Yep.
Well, you said New York, so I was just making sure.
Yeah. Good call.
Bills being included there. All right. Very good. Yeah. Devontae Adams had 3 catches in his debut. And right, the baubles actually went the Steelers' way. George Pickens finally got going. 5 grabs, 111 yards, and a touchdown. Najee Harris with the cherry on top there. At the end, Aaron Rodgers playing from behind. Guy sucks. Sucks when he's behind. Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
True.
Getting sick of this guy. But anyway, hey, the networks did their job. They put the Jets on prime time 6 times in the first 11 weeks. Either let's get these in now to see if they're any bit worth it, or we watch this crash and burn. So you've got two more to worry about. You've got the Texans coming up soon. I think they get Indy on a Sunday night, mid-November, and that's probably it. For the
Texans
Jets.
on Halloween. That'll be Halloween for sure.
And last note too on Russ, I thought this was actually pretty good analysis, and you get some tidbits there when the game gets out of hand from Collinsworth and Tirico, whatever crew you get. They were discussing how the Steelers still have all 6 division games left. So if they were going to make a change to Russell Wilson, Tomlin probably felt the time is now. I want to get this figured out, and I want to know who our guy is going into that pivotal point of their schedule. So I thought that was, and of course it looks good tonight because they blew out the Jets, but good start for Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Brandon Anderson, sorry about the Lynx. Sorry about the Vikings. 31-29, the Minnesota Lynx lost to the New York Liberty in the WNBA Finals. Really good sports night tonight on Sunday night.
Yeah. Incredible.
But 31-29, the Lions get there. They do. They were short dogs in this game, plus 1.5. I think the public side was Detroit. Minnesota was right there, made it compelling. Total goes over 50.5.
Yeah, look, no Vikings jersey for me tonight. I said I was going to keep on wearing it till they finally broke the streak. They were almost there. I thought they were going to steal this one, rocking the WNBA hoodie. Awesome season, tough loss for my Lynx, but congrats to the Liberty first championship. Just awesome finals, awesome season all around there. Lots of fun. Honestly, that's kind of the takeaway from Lions Vikings, I thought, too. Just two really good teams and a really good game. Like, you see a final score 31-29, you hear me a lot of times say, oh, well, wasn't as close as it looked, or this team deserved to win. That's pretty much what the score should have been, it feels like. This just seemed like two really good, really even teams, and we effectively got a Lions walk-off field goal winner. Like, the Lions were up a bunch of the game, so Vikings go up 10-0 early, Lions go 21-0 second quarter. First time really all season the Vikings have trailed. We've been talking about that we're waiting to say, okay, how do you respond? They hung in there. They took the punches. They hung in. Dave Montgomery leaves hurt, returns, fumbles the ball, and Ivan Pace, touchdown on the fumble, swings the game. It looks like they're going to go for Minnesota, and the Lions got the late drive for the field goal. If you had the last unbeaten Chiefs ticket, you cashed that one here. Even if they didn't win today, we'll get to them. You cashed either way because you got the game earlier in the day. So, I don't have the odds on that. I'm sure the Chiefs were among the favorites. The Lions, even after the Vikings are undefeated all this far, the Lions now lead the division. So that is a bummer for Vikings after such a good start here. I thought, neither quarterback seemed great in this one, but also both were like at 10 yards per attempt and higher. Goff fumbled twice. Darnold had a bad interception. Both got sacked 4 times. You look at the advanced metrics, Goff definitely had the better day, like about a half an EPA per play. Darnold basically a 0 for the day. So I think that a little bit was a difference. The Lions passing, I think, was what ended up winning the day here. But yeah, good showing for Minnesota. This is a opponent that the Vikings have struggled a lot against the last couple of times they've met. So I thought both defenses played pretty well here. If anything, impressive showing for the Lions defense. They hold the Vikings offense to 22. Remember, one of the touchdowns was that defensive touchdown. Don't forget, no Aiden Hutchinson. This was a really good spot for Minnesota here. Rested off the bye week against Detroit, missing Hutchinson, shorthanded. This is a really big win. Detroit on the road against an unbeaten team, missing your star. This one really matters in the NFC playoff picture. This sets you up for the division. This sets up Detroit to be really in the driver's seat for the NFC 1 seed at this point. More indoor games for Jared Goff, as we know how that matters. Just really big result, but honestly, two teams that look like they have every chance to meet again come playoff time and give us another good one.
Very good. Good analysis there. Big Gibbs, St. Brown's, some breakout games. You mentioned the Montgomery injury. Gibbs was exceptional. That big run really got him going in that game as well. Speaking of a team coming off the bye, well, there he is again, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid as a short underdog off a bye playing the San Francisco 49ers. This was really the only game that was worth your time in the 4 o'clock window. Injuries, Evan, pile up for San Francisco. Debo, the broadcast showed him looked like he was going to yak on the field. Ayuk goes down. Pearsall making his debut. Not a good day for Brock Purdy. The Chiefs win outright 28-18 as short 2.5-point underdogs. Total goes under 47.5.
Yes, we'll try to get through this one, but if you start at the top, I think the question everyone had was the Debo illness designation and the fact that it looked like he almost couldn't have played the entire game and we didn't know anything about it heading in. So a little bit of an odd scenario heading in there, but it was kind of the Walking Dead from San Francisco's point of view when they ended up losing Ayuk. Debo's really not out there. I think it's who is it out there who's their starting receivers? Basically, it's Cowing and Pearsall end up being the 1-2 who entered today with 0 receptions on the season combined. So at that point, you felt like as a San Francisco backer, it probably wasn't going to go well. And then you see Mahomes throw 2 interceptions. One probably not his fault. One probably was. But again, keeping them in the game and kind of making it a little tight before Purdy throws 3 picks and just pulls them out of the game in every opportunity they had. The craziest part about this is I think the injuries from both sides kind of negated the entire game. Because when you think about it, KC was running Sky Moore, McCole Hardman, and Justin Watson. That wasn't the plan in the preseason for them to be running trips with those receivers. Just really bad all around. I think overall, you look at Brock Purdy, last 12 starts, 14 touchdown passes and 12 interceptions. Not great. And really has been kind of holding back San Francisco a tiny bit, but you also look at the options he has every week, right? No McCaffrey, Mason's looked unbelievable, but still no McCaffrey. And Purdy starts this game 2 of 7 for 16 yards and an interception in their first 5 drives. So really just nothing overall. I believe it was just the 3rd time Shanahan had gone like 3 and out in one of his first 3 in all of his first 3 drives. It just wasn't pretty to start the game for them. And then you look at Mahomes again with the 2 picks. So he has 22 interceptions now in the regular season since the start of last year, which is the most in the NFL. He is chucking it, and today chucking it more than usual because we've been talking about his average depth of target. It was down to about between the 5 and 6 range, which is the lowest of his career. Today was 8.6. So at least he was throwing it down the field. He has a bunch of touchdowns downfield this year, which he hadn't had previously without Tyreek Hill in the lineup. So that at least good. I think looking forward, Kansas City won the turnover battle finally after 16 games. They finally score more than like 27 points, which they hadn't done in a while either. I don't know how Kansas City keeps winning aside from their defense, aside from their preparation, aside from Mahomes just doing his things like tiptoeing on the sideline and flicking passes cross field and just doing the magic that only he knows how to do. But KC is only plus 43 points this season in margin. They are 6-0. There's only 3 teams in history that have been 6-0 with worse margins than Kansas City's. They just keep figuring out ways to win. And then next week they kind of get their division rival, which ends up giving them the most difficulty, which is the Raiders. So interesting that they're laying 10 points in that game, but it just Mahomes 11-3 straight up, 12-1-1 against the spread as an underdog, best of any quarterback in the Super Bowl era. And the perspective there is even crazier, which is dogs pretty much win 32% of the time, and Mahomes is 11-3 in those games. So we'll just keep figuring it out and keep going. But right now, if Kansas City ever had something go right for them, I don't know how they would lose because they're not losing when things aren't going right. So just a wild set of circumstances.
Yeah, it's weird that this game kind of has the feel that it does, the way we're talking about it here. Like this is the Super Bowl rematch, right? This is the game that, I back in the spring when we did the schedule release, our beloved NFL editor, Matt Trebby, has me rank all 272 NFL games in order of how much we want to watch them.
You loved number one. You loved every second of it. Don't make it sound like you had to do it.
I of course did. This was the number 1 game. This is the game that of all the choices we could have had, the rematch. And it just, you're watching just like it's like the Sunday afternoon nap red zone channel. It's just even as things were getting going early, it's just let's run the ball, just kind of chewing up the clock and matriculating the ball down the field. That's kind of just that's kind of what the Patrick Mahomes offense has become. Like it's getting the job done. It just kind of feels like a bummer, to be totally honest. It's not really
Correct.
much analysis, but I don't know. For the Niners too, like so Chiefs obviously at this point are not necessarily headed towards undefeated, but they had a tough schedule early. They beat Baltimore already. They beat Cincy already. They went to the Chargers. That's presumably the toughest division game on the schedule.
Yeah.
As much as going to the Chargers is a road game. They get the Niners here. There's not a lot left out there. Like even a team that nobody really feels like is that great in a season where nobody else is that great, when you're starting out unbeaten like this, I don't know. Can you like walk to 15-2? And does that mean that Andy Reid finally wins Coach of the Year? He's never won it before.
That's crazy.
What do you have to do to get that? Does that
right?
mean that Patrick Mahomes just walks to MVP in a year where we like can't really find anyone to do that? On the flip side, the Niners are 3-4 now. Like I feel like we're kind of just like, well, they're pretty good. Their guys are banged up. Like we'll see. To put in perspective, the Niners right now, if the season ended, are the 11th seed in the NFC. They're priced right now as a close second favorite. They've been the favorite. The Lions passed them now, as they should have for today, but they're still a close second favorite in the NFC. They're not even close to the playoffs right now if the season ended. There's a lot of season to go, but there's a lot of tough schedule to go for the Niners too. They've got a bunch of tough games to come. They're losing more bodies. I feel like that's kind of the underreported story of this team. We sort of are just assuming it's fine. They seem pretty good. They'll get there. You keep losing games, you might not get there.
Keep losing players too. To your point, just eating at the core. At some point, do you just a strong nucleus that is Shanahan, but when you keep peeling off pieces, and you just can't get any continuity. But look, when the conference isn't as good, but now you've got we'll get to Green Bay here in a second, but you've got these up and coming teams, maybe Washington. At some point, I feel like you're going to get got, and you've been high on Seattle all year. That got a win today too, so we'll get to them.
The one thing is San Francisco minus 170 to make the playoffs, plus 138. Brandon was on the no playoffs a few weeks ago, which was a much juicier price, but really just kind of shows you where they are right now. Here's one more before we move on to the next game, which I thought was really interesting. Mahomes, and this just proves he just figures out a way, is now 8-3 straight up in his career when he doesn't throw a passing touchdown.
Wow. Just unreal.
Well, guys, they're the Patriots. Like they wait. They're the Patriots from the two decades. They wait for the other team to screw up, and they just feast. And then you mentioned the long ball. One of the first plays of the second half, he tries to throw it to Worthy, and that's just him being like, all right, we got to get Worthy going, and we know we're going to need him down the stretch if we don't have no Rice the rest of the year. Okay, didn't get it. And then they just figure it out, and we're going to run the ball, and he's mature. There's a matured way that he throws interceptions. Like Brady threw picks all the time, too, in big games. And this today, I think, was suited as a big game. Anyway, the run, too. The longest run of his career down the left sideline today. I couldn't believe that either. I thought for sure he'd have a run longer than that. But, yeah, Kansas City. Lone unbeaten now in the NFL, thanks to the Vikings. Houston, Green Bay. This was a doozy. Packers do win, late field goal at the end of the game to win 24-22. Houston, though, does cover, plus 2.5. Total goes under 47.5, Brandon.
Yeah, it should not have really come down to the late field goal. The Packers quite dominated this game. The Texans have under 200 yards of offense in the game against the Packers defense that we're not really that sold on yet. Houston has 3.4 yards per play for the entire game. The Packers turned it over 3 times, none for Houston, and still won the game. Like, that's the reason this was even close in the first place. It's a weird game here. Like, this is not a game that we expected, I think, both defenses to dominate. And really, like, the Packers offense wasn't that great either. They were under 300 yards themselves. I think Green Bay definitely, the expected score here should be more in Green Bay's favor. But, Jordan Love, we're getting the whole Jordan Love experience now. We talk about Jordan Love plays like Mahomes. Well, maybe he does. Just this year, Mahomes, that's not quite playing like the normal Patrick Mahomes. 3 touchdowns for Jordan Love, 2 interceptions for Jordan Love. Similar to Mahomes, one really not his fault. It's a drop, but either way, they keep racking up. I like Jordan Love for MVP odds. I like the touchdowns. He's throwing 3 touchdowns a game, but he's still throwing an interception every single start. He's averaging more than an interception and a half per game. That matters for the MVP thing too. You can't make those mistakes. Love still making the mistakes. CJ Stroud, speaking of MVP hype, this was supposed to be an MVP showdown. CJ Stroud finishes under 50% completion, 10 of 21 for 86 yards. 86 yards for the entire game, 4.1 yards a pass, 4 sacks. All the advanced metrics are bad. Minus 15 completion over expectation, minus 0.28 EPA per play. The whole thing with Houston, we know, is that they have not been good on early downs, and then CJ bails them out late. Well, they actually ran the ball a little bit this game. Mixon gets 100+ yards, couple scores. It's really not that great. 25 carries to get your 115. That's fine. That's old school football. That's Bobby Slowick school football. But CJ didn't get the bailout plays. Your leading receiver on the game is Dalton Schultz. 1 catch for 28 yards. I think they missed Nico Collins. I think that's what we're seeing a lot here. Is Nico was the star in this team, and that offense just isn't what I think the market is crediting it for. They're 5-2 after the loss. I still think it's a pretty fraudy 5-2 team. And for folks watching, I'll be coming back to the Texans when we get to the hot read.
Excellent. Tank Dell, goose egg today as well. Stroud made some throws at the end of the game. I thought a few,
Yeah.
not many, a few, some winning kind of plays, but Jordan Love puts him in position. The Packers win, but the Texans cover at the last second. If you want access to all of Action's Pro projections, make sure to sign up for our annual subscription that is currently on sale. Access includes exclusive player prop picks from Sean Kerner and other members of the Action Analytics team. You'll also get access to exclusive expert articles, our best spread, money line, and total bets, and real ticket and money percentages. To sign up, visit actionnetwork.com/pro today and use the code LIVE20 at sign up. One more time, that's LIVE20 at sign up for $20 off. We'll work our way through the slate some more. Brandon, back to you. Seattle Seahawks 34-14 over the Atlanta Falcons. Seattle was a 3-point dog once this kicked off. The total did go under 51.5. We had some scoring there. The big Metcalf touchdown right before the end of the half. Walker was good in this game. Geno Smith kind of let you down. Really, I guess we got to blame Atlanta because they didn't keep this game all that compelling.
Yeah, Geno was dealing in the first half, lighting it up, completions, attempts, almost 200 yards at the half. I'm on the Geno escalator. I'm like, glory town. Let's just ride this all the way. We got this. The 17-14 early in the second half, Atlanta just falls apart after that. They get the defensive touchdown for Seattle. This scoreline is really not super representative. The stats are pretty close here. You could argue the stats that might even favor Atlanta, depending on which things you want to measure here. Certainly doesn't look like a 20-point game if you just look at some of the numbers.
Sure.
But Geno ended up not having to throw that much in the second half. He's looking really good, though. He's over 12 yards average depth of target on this one, just chucking it down the field. They're having him throw a lot when they need to, and they're still going to need to. The defense did play better here. We finally got a little bit of health back after their 3 games and 11-day stretch. So I think this was big to get back on track here. I still like Seattle, man. I still think this is a really good team, and the defense is pretty good. I think Geno Smith is still worth just taking a little peek at for MVP status. Like, he is leading the league still in completions, attempts, passing yards. He is making all those throws. It is an open race. I think Seattle is at least a 10-win team. I think they get to like 11, 12. They're in this thing. And if the race stays open, the way he's playing, we're at like 100 to 1, 120 to 1. That's a long shot, obviously. I think he is a long shot. I just think not quite that long of a long shot comparing to some of the other names in that range. Big picture, really big win for Seattle here. Both teams come into the day they're now both 4-3. This is a tiebreak game come the end of the season. These are teams that might end up in the same race for the same wild card spots. And as much as we kind of are like, oh, okay, Atlanta figured things out, right? Atlanta is fine. They started terrible. Kirk Cousins, we remember the game one, has been good. Not great this game. 3 sacks, lost a fumble, 2 interceptions. Atlanta's played 5 home games already. 5 of the next 7 games are on the road. We've talked a lot about, oh, it's the cushy schedule. Yeah, well, you're still going to go on the road. Like the home road thing has not really been a part of that. They've got a couple tough ones coming. 4-3. There's a lot of winning records in the NFC. Atlanta plays in Tampa Bay. Game we just watched a fireworks shootout a couple Thursday nights ago. Mm-hmm. And Atlanta probably shouldn't have won that one, but did. If they don't win this week, the season that was starting to look pretty good might be quickly moving back the other way. And this is a disappointing result for them. They shouldn't have lost by as much, but it's not a great one for Atlanta.
They ran the ball well. I thought Robinson was good first half. They ran the ball pretty well. Seattle couldn't stop a nosebleed when it came to the run game, but yeah.
What happened to that Metcalf injury? I honestly didn't see what happened. He got carted off, didn't he?
I don't think he got carted. I know that he ended up being
he was on a cart. He was on a cart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't see what the post said, but either way, like that is obviously a massive situation to just watch for.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't hear or see. It's an injured knee.
Got it.
But yeah, we'll get back to that because I can try to find something here. Mike McDonald said early word is Metcalf may have escaped anything serious.
Yeah, they play Buffalo next week, so we could use some offense probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get some points on that one.
Yeah, here's a quote from Mike McDonald. On the sideline catch, he banged up his knee. Not sure the severity. We're optimistic. Doesn't look bad.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing him kind of moving around on the sideline, but you're up 20, so you don't necessarily need to get him back out there. You're not passing in anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he didn't look very happy. Meaning like, why do I have to come out of the game kind of thing, which I know that sounds obvious, but it looked like he wanted to stay out there is my point. He wasn't upset that he really hurt himself. London game this morning. Drake May and the Patriots fall to the Jacksonville Jaguars 32-16. This closed at 7, right? The line closed at 7. Jacksonville -7. This was competitive. New England got out to a 10-0 lead, and then it all fell apart.
This is on the verge. I was looking it up earlier. This would have been the second biggest upset in an international game. So that was kind of fun that I was looking at early, but obviously, like you said, all turned around very quickly. The most interesting thing you'll probably know about this game from just a gambling point of view, and Brandon's talked about this ad nauseum, is the fact that they both play next week without a bye, coming off the London game, which is just a tough situation overall, especially early game and, all different types of stuff that we'll write about this week, but just a tough spot. Jets at New England next week, Green Bay at Jacksonville. So just to be aware of there. What you're going to take away from a New England point of view is just Drake May is clearly the future. He actually does just look good, and the result doesn't matter. If anything, the result is better for New England. Rather lose the game and him look good because you know what your future's like. But 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. First quarterback in New England to do that in almost 2 full years. He also had an 8.0 average depth of target, which is fantastic for a rookie to be able to just go downfield. I mean, Jacksonville's defense couldn't look more Swiss cheese and porous. I mean, that first touchdown, nobody seemed like they wanted to tackle. And that continued most of the game, but Jacksonville's just a better all-around team at this point, why they're laying 7 against a team like New England. The one funny one, which I had to look up since New England did start this game up 10-0, they were 74-1 straight up, leading by 10 plus points since 2016. Now, obviously a Brady centric stat there, but kind of funny in the sense that they did look good early and blew the lead. And the one stat you'll know overall, favorites just continue to roll international games. They're now 36-11-1 straight up, 32-16 against the spread international games, including 9-2 ATS last 11. So the better team usually wins in these neutral site, and it had happened again today. And the end of London, so no more London this season. We are done, but don't get too sad. We still have one Germany game coming up, and we are sending our best overseas because it'll be the Panthers facing the Giants. And I hope everybody gets their brats ready. That's going to be some terrible football out there.
I appreciate the optimism, but regarding the Patriots, that is. Oh, I mean, that game and the Patriots, but
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in New England, and I know I'm curious your opinion, I have to be optimistic. Like, you knew this was going to go one way. You thought you started the year with Brissett, which was a stable quarterback that you thought might look good and didn't. Looked, I thought much worse than he had previously. And Drake May looks very competent, and obviously making mistakes in certain areas, but it's his second start.
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled about the quarterback. I just think the roster is really bad.
Yeah.
And Jalen Polk had some issues in this game. Jacoby Brissett, I didn't think was the best bridge option, but Mayo called the team soft after the game, called him out because I think he's starting to feel it a bit. I don't know if I love Alex Van Pelt either. I think the quarterback is making more plays, certainly. But yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on it. But yeah, here we're just another one of those teams. And I admit I was spoiled for 2 decades. So, and I'm in my 30s. So like I've never seen bad. Okay. So I'm lucky. But we're just another one of those teams. We need the quarterback to save our ass. That's where we're at.
All I'll say is this. I hope I get the full touchdown because I'll be betting New England against the Jets next week.
And shout out Brandon Anderson giving out 2 Drake May touchdowns, not 1, 2 at plus 250 and the best bets pod. That cashed. That was fun to watch. Bengals and Browns. The Bengals win 21-14. Cincinnati minus 5.5. That delivered. I know a lot of folks had the Browns, had them plus 6. Total goes under. Maybe the story of this game was what happened after the game. And Jameis Winston, other players speaking out regarding Deshaun Watson, who had a scary moment in that game. They had to go to the next quarterback on the roster. Brandon, your thoughts?
Yeah, what are my thoughts? Deshaun Watson, torn Achilles, out for the season. Yeah, simply hate to see it. Jameis Winston gets benched to QB3 before the game. That's the news that comes out like an hour before kickoff. And like,
okay, I didn't know that. I was curious as to why they went to Donovan Peoples-Jones. I did not know. Okay.
Well, I believe he was the emergency quarterback. I believe that he only got to play because Dorian Thompson Robinson.
What did I say? Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Peoples-Jones, the receiver.
Did play for Cleveland, all right?
He may as well have been the quarterback, guys.
The hyphenate names. Yeah, I don't know. Like it seemed like what spilled out after the game was probably what had led up to that before the game. But I remember raising an eyebrow when we saw that. So then, I mean, look, DTR comes in, 11 of 24, 82 yards, 2 picks, a fumble, 3.4 yards per attempt. Not an NFL quarterback. Like it's just not going to go well. I've been waiting for Jameis to come in. Jameis does come in because DTR gets hurt too. Gets a touchdown drive. Suddenly we actually have a game late. Like this game was nothing of any note on the Red Zone channel or anywhere the entire time. And so it's like, oh, we got like an onside kick and a chance to win late. I'm kind of intrigued by the Browns. If Jameis Winston plays for them, it's a clear upgrade to me. Deshaun Watson has been awful. There are many, many people in Cleveland who will be quite happy to have not Deshaun Watson playing quarterback for the team, but the season's gone at this point. Like, you're not saving much here. Do you want Jameis Winston to play you to a couple of wins if there's locker room unsettled on top of it? Or do you just want to, quote, develop DTR, see how the season goes, see if he gets set up for a nice high draft pick for next year? That's probably the better move for the franchise. Nick Chubb, back from that gruesome knee injury we all saw, gets into the end zone. You love to see that. Bengals get their first win in Cleveland since 2017. Obviously, all the Cleveland stuff is the conversation here. Quietly a terrible game for the Bengals. They get the win, 2 of 13 on third down with 223 yards. There's nothing good happening here. The run game is bad. Joe Burrow really average. They return the opening kickout for a touchdown against the Browns. You should win that game by 30. Like, you've been gifted a 7-0 lead against Cleveland. Congratulations. And we're still in this till the very end. So credit to winning ugly. They beat the Giants last week, pretty ugly. They beat the Browns today, pretty ugly. You're back to 3-4. Bengals Eagles next week. It's a fraud off. We got to see if anyone can do anything between these teams. It's kind of quietly a pretty big game. Like, somebody please be good, be something in the NFL. Maybe we'll find out next week.
Okay. Can't believe I called him Donovan Peoples-Jones. That's funny. Philadelphia +2.5 at Cincinnati, 1 o'clock window next week. All right, we'll go rapid fire these next 5, and then we'll get to Monday night and Brandon's hot read. Indy, Miami, 16-10 Colts. Indy covers -3, total under 43.5.
Yeah, I don't know how how bad you have to be as Anthony Richardson to be the worst quarterback on the field in a game featuring Tyler Huntley and Tim Boyle. That's my question here. Note, he did run the ball 14 times, only 21 his first 4 games, so maybe keep an eye on that for props and stats. Colts get the win, but not convincingly. Huntley leaves hurt. Tim Boyle comes in. Tua may be back next week. We'll come back to this team as well. We'll come back to both these teams, actually. It had no attention on this game today, but they're both going to be in the hot read next week. Colts are 4-3. I feel like you kind of downgrade them after this game. Not super exciting, but they're 4-3 at Houston next week. Tie for the division lead if they win. Just saying.
All right. Rams get by against the Vegas Raiders 20-15. Vegas does cover +7.5. It was a field goal fest, just throwing to Brock Bowers, and Kyron Williams, ran in a couple, Evan.
Yeah, this is a terrible game. That's my first note on this, because overall, this is just an awful watch. But as happened in the afternoon slates, a lot of quarterback injuries. So O'Connell goes down, Minshew comes in. Then the Raiders, listen to this one, ready? This is the stat of the game, in my opinion. So they have 4 turnovers, 10 penalties, and 0 touchdowns in the red zone, 0 for 2, and they covered the spread. Like that to me, overall, teams in that spot, 236-1 ATS in that spot, last 39 games since 2001. So just an unreal game to be able to cover the number if you're on Vegas's side of it. If you're the Rams side, congratulations, you won the game. The thing that keeps happening with them is 25-8 straight up. McVay and Stafford as a favorite, 5-14 straight up as underdogs. They just continue to play their role and figure out a way. You said Kyron Williams, ninth straight game with a touchdown, 3rd longest streak with 1+ touchdown, rushing touchdown since 2000. Tomlinson, Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams. So obviously rolling there, and McVay loves using him. And the other thing to note from Vegas's point of view, Brock Bowers. Could the guy get more work? He has 10 of 21 receptions, 14 of 35 targets for the Raiders. He is absolutely everything for that team. So at least he gets to, get a lot of work in and, progress his game.
Yeah. Well, good on him. And they drafted Mayer last year in the 2nd round, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, they got it right. Tight end. Philadelphia Eagles visit the Giants. This is the Saquon revenge game, 28-3 Eagles, Philly -3. Total goes under 42.5. Big day for Saquon, Brandon.
Yeah, 176 yards, had a big 55-yarder. I feel like every time we got over to this game, Saquon's ripping off another 15, 20-yard run. 28-3 makes it feel pretty good for the Eagles. Other than Saquon, I don't know if I feel very good about this game if I'm the Eagles. 1 of 13 on 3rd down. Jalen Hurts has 73 yards all game, other than the one long bomb to A.J. Brown.
That was a nice throw. That was a nice ball.
That's a good play. There are things to be happy about. The Eagles win big here against a division rival, so you get the win. I think, if anything, you feel good about the defense, but I'm not even sure of that. To me, this is just the Giants' offensive line is absolutely cooked. Andrew Thomas out. Oh my gosh, it's awful. 7 sacks you allowed to Daniel Jones, who doesn't even play the whole game. The Giants have 119 yards, 10 first downs, and about 2 yards of play for the game. And now they get to go play Pittsburgh on Monday night, and we get to watch. That's going to be fun.
I know they've got the tush push, but you're right about Philly. There's still no identity. It just feels like they're hanging by the seat of their pants every week, and they're just praying to get out of there. I love this.
Eagles, Bengals, I feel like, like the old wrestling matches, like loser has to retire. Like, can we just, whoever loses, you're out of the playoffs. I don't want to consider you anymore. No more second chances. You're out.
I love this section. It's just funny. It's a funny section. Carolina, they were awful too. Andy Dalton threw, I don't know who he was looking at when he was throwing the ball in the first half. Commanders 40-7 over the Panthers. Washington covers the number just inside 10, 9.5. Total goes under 50.5, Evan.
Yeah, closed at 10. Ton of steam.
Closed at 10.
Yeah, a ton of steam at the end there. So it was 8, 9, and then got all the way to 10 at kickoff. Wasn't even close to enough. Also, from a Washington point of view, kind of fun. They haven't closed as a double-digit favorite since 2017 behind Kirk Cousins. So they get that done with Jaden Daniels today, and Jaden Daniels becomes the first rookie quarterback to close as a double-digit favorite this early in the season in the wild card era since 1990. So expectations at an all-time high, and then obviously he comes out of the game after one series. Mariota still does fine, still does okay. Dalton throws 2 picks in the first quarter, which basically throws the entire game away because it's 27-0 at the half. The fun one I will say, and this is just the right place to throw it in, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, 17-3 against a second half spread this season. Those 3 quarterbacks, those 3 rookies. So all figuring out a way to keep their teams in games and all looking good. But yeah, I mean, from Washington's point of view, 8 drives in this game, 1 punt, 4 field goals, 3 touchdowns. And they were scoring on 62% of drives entering this game. 9 of 9 on 4th down this season. Their 3rd downs, they were 5 of 10 today. They're almost 50% on 3rd down this season. It's just what they're doing, even how crazy it was to see it without Jaden Daniels in the lineup and still being, progressive down the field, just absolutely wild. From Carolina's point of view, 1-8 straight up, 1-8 against the spread since Christmas last year. Their only cover and win, the dead cat bounce going from Bryce Young to Andy Dalton in that one game against the Raiders. And Carolina 1-13 first half ATS last 14 games. They just can't get out of their own way, and nothing's going right. So continue to fade Carolina, I guess.
4-2, last place Chicago Bears at 4-2 off the bye, going to Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, who gave the thumbs up. I think he's going to be good to go. That felt like a preseason game. Yeah, 1 series, I'm good, and they never needed them. At 5-2, first place Washington, 4:30 window in CBS next week. That'll be fun. Rookie of the year game.
The NFL moved the game to put this in the prime time, in the window slot for us. They bumped Eagles-Bengals out. No more Eagles-Bengals. Get rid of them. Put them at noon. Get them with all the other games. We want Caleb. We want Jaden. Put him on. Hopefully he's healthy for it.
They still have Carolina-Denver, though, in the 4:30 window.
Oh, they got to have somebody in the background on Red Zone channel.
Yeah. All right, last one. Tennessee and Buffalo. Not a good start for the Bills, but they deliver big second half, 34-10, Brandon. They cover I think it was 9.5, closed 9.5. Over 41.5. Amari Cooper scores in his debut. Shakir got going. What'd you make of this game?
Not much, to be honest. Titans 10-0 and then give up 34 in a row. Bills go 27-0 second half. I wrote the guide for this game. Bills second half was good play. Good. Keep in mind, Josh Allen second half for his career now, 62, 35, and 3 ATS, 64%, 67% ATS as a double-digit game favorite, as he was here on some books. Just, the Bills, when they are up big, they tend to just kind of bleed things out in the second half. That's what we saw here. Not a lot otherwise.
Very good. Easy enough. Let's go to Monday Night Football again. Brandon Anderson's hot reads are coming very shortly here. We'll start with Baltimore, Tampa Bay. We'll do side, total, whatever it may be. Brandon, we talked about this in Best Bets on Friday morning on the Action Network podcast. You're in on Tampa Bay.
I like the Bucs here. I just think it's a really good spot for them. I think I can't get off the whole Hurricane Katrina angle where we saw the Saints come to that home Monday night game after the emotional spot there. Here the Bucs come home to Tampa, just brutal week for everyone there in the Tampa area. I think they get, 3 of the next 4 home games for them. It's a good team. This is a really good team with an emotional Monday night home crowd. Always you get the little Monday night home boost as well. The Bucs, as we said on our Best Bets episode, the only team in the NFL, top 11 in DVOA offense and defense, running and passing. They're balanced. They're playing good football. I hope Vita Vea plays because my whole cap here has been that they can stop the run, and I see that he's a little banged up. We'll see if he plays. I definitely would like this a little less without him. But the secondary is getting healthy. They're starting to run the ball a little bit. Probably not a ton in this game. I think it comes down to the passing here. And I'm going to take not the MVP. I'm going to take Baker. I'm going to take Liam Cohen's offense. I'm going to take Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And Chris Godwin, by the way, has played about as well as any receiver in the league this year. He's just shredding defenses, especially in the slot. So I think it's a good spot for Tampa. This was one of my best bets. Bucks plus 3.5. I took the money line. I got 180, 160, whatever is out there. I still feel like that's pretty good. And then I think these are not updated prices from after today's games, but futures, I think if you like the Bucks here, if you think they get a steal a win a little bit, minus 130-ish range on playoffs. I think they were 75% before this game. If they get this win, that number goes up even more, especially with the Atlanta loss today. Division odds, NFC odds. I think this team can hang. I think that they can hang with the best in the NFC. I think they can hang with Baltimore here.
Yeah, I think that playoffs number shot up because of that Atlanta loss. It's now minus 170 to get in. 14 to 1 to win the conference. Baker Mayfield is 25 to 1 NFL MVP. That went up a tad.
Hopefully the folks listened on the Tuesday roundtable and the Friday best bets, and we already got some good CLV. Well, not quite CLV, but we're already sitting on some pretty good tickets here.
Yeah, that would put Baker Mayfield. He would be behind Goff, Jordan Love, and Jaden Daniels. Okay. Anything for you, Evan, on this game? We have two games.
I'll talk to Tampa first. I like Baker over 1.5 passing touchdowns, and I would sprinkle Bucky Irving to get in the end zone. With Baker, quarterbacks are 4-2 the over passing touchdowns versus Baltimore this year. 2 unders are actually Josh Allen and Mahomes, which I'm not too worried about in that circumstance. And if you look at it, Baltimore's allowed a passing touchdown in their last 13 of 14 regular season games. So you just need to add one more on top of that. And Baker, 14 and 6 in his last 20, over 1.5, 70%. So I like that play. I mean, you're going to talk about some of the trends in this game. Everyone's going to talk about Lamar, 22-1 versus the NFC. That's now on the line in this one. The play I think that's kind of interesting is Baltimore first half. Lamar's been great, and then Tampa full game. So you might want to sprinkle on that as well. And the one I thought was interesting, opposing running backs are 3-9 to the rushing yards over against the Ravens rush defense, which is really, really stingy. So something to be a little cautious of when looking at Bucky and I don't know if Rashad's playing, but both.
Okay, excellent. The second one, I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't think anyone's talking about this game. The only thing I've heard about Chargers Cardinals is that it's exclusively on ESPN Plus. That is the only thing I've heard about this game. And credit to Jim Harbaugh. He's got this defense playing really well. They've depleted some big stars on this team. This could be a fun game. Maybe not. It could be gross. Chargers at Cardinals. The Cardinals are a short home dog. You can get the Chargers on the money line at minus 130. The total's at 44.5. No one's talking about this game other than the fact that, again, it's exclusively on ESPN Plus. Anything from you, Brandon, in this game?
Yeah, it's also exclusively a late kickoff. Normally, when we get these double headers,
9 o'clock,
the early kickoff. Yeah, we get the
NBA finals.
This feels very Pac-12 after dark. Maybe that's what we're going for here, right? We're gonna get some weird stuff happening. So I got the preview for this one. I got to write about this one. I think it's actually kind of an interesting game. Cardinals are a little healthier right now. Looks like Marvin Harrison Jr. should be good to go. Joey Bosa probably not playing for the Chargers. The secondary is a little banged up. The defense for the Chargers is the standout unit here. So far, Jesse Minter, that's the coordinator. He's been really good. They're top 3 DVOA, top 7 run and pass. But who have they played? They played the Chiefs, missing most of the guys offensively. The Chiefs, who we don't really think are that great offensively. Every other opponent the Chargers have faced is a bottom 10 offense by DVOA. So I'm not sure that the Chargers have faced an offense as good as the Cardinals yet. Not that the Cardinals are really that great or even that consistent, but I think this could be a bit of a new test here. Kyler Murray is out as a bit of a test. So the Chargers, of course, we haven't had a 40-point game yet featuring the Chargers. We're getting this I guess I went Pac-12 earlier. The Chargers are Big Ten. The Chargers are run the ball, play defense, grind it out. Jim Harbaugh brought what he knows. I think that is kind of suppressing the total here. So home overs under Cardinals Jonathan Gannon, 9-2 to the over, 48 or more points, 8 of his 11 home games, average 51.5. The other angle I looked at here, Cardinals have not been good in the first half. They're 2-4 ATS in the first half. They have trailed by double digits in 4 straight at half. Chargers have led at the half 4 straight, including that Chiefs game that they had. So I kind of looked at the first half. I kind of looked at the over. How about combine them? Give me the first half over 21.5. 22.5 is fine if you need it. Kind of play the Chargers first half thing, play the over on the suppressed total. I think we're going to get some points here. I think we might actually end up getting kind of a fun game. Arizona is 6-0 to the over on this number. They've had at least 24 points or more in every Cardinals first half, average 29. So that's the angle I came up with. It's fun to win money. Let's have some fun and see if we can win a little bit. By the time you care about this game and turn it on after the other one, we'll have cashed our bet already.
Evan, anything fun from you on this one?
I'll keep it quick. I like James Conner to get in the end zone. He's actually scored in all 6 night games with Arizona in his career. Touchdown in all 6 of them. Conner has 17 rush attempts in the red zone this year. Kyler only has 4 rush attempts, so you shouldn't be too worried about that. No goal line rushes for Kyler yet this season. Just a fun nugget overall. Jim Harbaugh actually 6-0 straight up on Monday Night Football, all coming with the 49ers. So some fun history with the Harbaugh brothers, both having success in night games. My angle, I'm actually going to go with Brandon as well. So I wrote down Chargers win the first half, Cardinals win the full game. And I think the Chargers starting nice, maybe keeping Arizona at bay a tiny bit, hopefully maybe some points for Brandon. But the note I'll go with would be Chargers to win the first half, then Herbert 9, 29, and 2 against the second half spread when leading at halftime in his career. So I will go with that bet, just purely off principle.
Yeah, Brandon won't want to watch this game anyway. He doesn't want to talk about the receivers' names on the Chargers, right? Because you got McConkey, Quentin Johnson, but who knows?
Bring home Mike Williams. Let's get our guy back in the Chargers.
Good point.
Yeah. All right, time for the hot read. Brandon's got 2 looks for Week 8. You had the Denver New Orleans Thursday night game that did not go under. And then you had the Jets and Pittsburgh game tonight, which ended up having a lot of points for Pittsburgh. So got to get back on track. What do we like for Week 8? Your first hot read.
Yeah, I think this is our first 0-2 hot read week in almost a full calendar year. So not my favorite, but yeah, let's get back on the board. We're gonna mix up a little bit here. By the way, make sure to hit the like on our YouTube if you're watching. Give us a little like here. Something different today. Normally I take favorites here if I'm playing a side, because normally that's the way the line moves toward the favorites, right? I'm going with 2 underdogs here this time. So first one, we've teased these a little bit. Give me the Colts plus 6.5 at the Texans. I just don't believe in this Texans team. These teams played week 1. Texans were 2.5 point favorites. Now 6.5 is home field really that much an advantage in today's NFL? Has Houston really looked that much better to have improved on the line? I don't think so. Houston won by 2 in that game. It was pretty close all the way. I don't see a reason for the line to swing this far here. The Texans haven't swept the Colts since 2016. So they're already 1-0. That means you can't sweep here. Texans have only won 4 of the last 11 against the Colts. So this has really not been a great team for Houston to play. Again, we talked about them earlier. Underwhelming against Green Bay. They're struggling against the spread. They did cover by 0.5 point today, but they really shouldn't have by the numbers. And I like the backdoor possibility here. Colts 5-2 in the second half ATS. Texans 1-6. So I think the Colts hang, but even if they don't, I think the Colts can maybe come through the back door and close on a long number here. We mentioned too, Nico Collins. I think in this particular game is an especially big loss. He has demolished the Colts the last 3 games. 458 yards the last 3 games against the Colts last season in this one. No Collins, not a lot of offense here. Gus Bradley's defense, I'm not a big fan. Former North Dakota State coach. I know him pretty well, but what he does is he makes you earn it. You got to grind it and grind it out down the field, and that's not the thing the Texans do very well with their bad early down offense. Colts have covered 6.5 all 7 games this season. So road dogs 6.5, 57% ATS the last 15 years. And if you want the money line, don't play the money line. The Colts are 7-1 to win the division, and they're tied for the division lead if they win this game. So I think you can actually juice this up a little bit if you like it. But I will stick with Colts plus 6.5 at the Texans. Get that above the key number.
Okay. You could two quick ones. I mean, you could get Jonathan Taylor back too. That news is important.
Sure.
You get Richardson off another week. He was getting acclimated today. Would you play this at 5.5? Because I'm seeing 5.5 out there too.
I would not play it right now at 5.5. I definitely want to get there. There is a book that has the 6.5, so I'm grabbing the 6.5 if you can. I want it above the key number. I would take it at 6. I wouldn't not play at 5.5, but I don't need to hot read it there. As always, they're trying to get ahead of the key numbers. So yeah, get the 6.5 book if you can. Second pick, similarly, only a couple of books with this one. Cardinals. We're going ahead of the Monday night game before they even play. Cardinals plus 3.5 at the Dolphins. Look, the Dolphins are terrible. I understand Tua is supposed to play in this game, but the Dolphins have scored 70 points all season. Remember when they did that in a game last year? They did that in a game last year. They Denver, have 70 points in 6 games, under 12 points a game. You can't make that team better than a field goal favorite against just about anyone at this point of the season. And I know, yeah, well, what if Tua comes back and what if they're not the team that they've been anymore? What if Tua doesn't come back? If he doesn't, we might get Tim Boyle in this game as a 3.5-point favorite. That's the big play here, honestly, is I'm just going to grab this number, and we don't know if Tua's going to play. If he does play, the whole thing with Tua has been an offense predicated on timing and feel, and the dude hasn't been on the field for 6 weeks. So I'm not sure that even there that you love being over a field goal favorite above the key number. Skylar Thompson is hurt. Tyler Huntley is hurt. Tim Boyle sounds like a character from The Office. Put those guys out there. I'm going to take the 3.5 points for the Cardinals here. I think the Cardinals offense is the only unit on the field that we know is like decent, at least. The Dolphins defense hasn't really been much better than the Cardinals so far. So I'm going to grab this now. Maybe the Cardinals look pretty good tomorrow night, and that probably moves the line past the key. Maybe we just get some bad news at quarterback for the Dolphins. I don't know what's happening with Tua, so I'll grab it now. If it turns out, I think this line is assuming Tua is supposed to play. I don't know how you'd be making them minus 3.5 otherwise.
Look at the total. 48.5 points.
Yeah, right. Because before the season, the Cardinals are supposed to have the worst defense and the Dolphins are supposed to have the number 1 offense. Some crazy person, me, on this podcast gave them out to lead the league in points. They have 70 in 6 games, but there's an assumption, I think, that Tua will just plug back in. They'll be the Dolphins again. Tua played for the Dolphins the first couple of games. They weren't the Dolphins those games quite yet then either. They didn't look very good even with him then. We'll see. I'll take the 3.5. Give me the Cardinals.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the other thing too is the Cardinals are playing Monday night, a late ESPN Plus exclusive Monday Night Football game. You got to go all the way Arizona, all the way to Miami. That whole thing too. I guess you factor that. I know it's a home road, but the travel component, short week. But yeah, I'm with you there. High total. That's a big total, 48.5, with not knowing how Tua is. Which, by the way, on Miami, Mike McDaniel, I thought you were better than this. I mean, you still got Waddle, you still got Hill. You've had your rotation of backs. I realize that. Mostert out, Achane got back today. A little underwhelming. I mean, I thought this guy was supposed to be a whiz.
Brendan, how about a host hot read? It sounds to me like you're hot reading the under. Are you on the under?
I kind of want to, honestly, but we'll
leave it to the people. We'll leave it to the people. If you want to tell Brendan, you grab the hot read under on this one. 47 is a key number. Yeah. So if you think again, if we're right, if Tua's not ready or out in this game, I promise you the total will not stay that high. So you make your choice.
There's some 48.5s out there. So have at it.
Yeah. What the hell? 48.5 bonus hot read. There you go. That's how we'll wrap up the night. Yeah, that's stunning. Okay. Very good. That's it. That is our week 7 recap episode here on the Action Network podcast. Thanks to those of you watching live on YouTube and for hanging out the entire show. Please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll be back at it next week. And those of you listening, of course, wherever you get your podcasts on the Action Network podcast. For Brandon Anderson, our Director of Research and Media, Evan Abrams, Brendan Glasheen signing off. Thanks for tuning into the Action Network podcast. We will join you again late night next Sunday.